Hello Cancer, and welcome to this small corner of the internet that is Wild Fox Alchemy. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Maria Guyan and I am an intuitive business success coach and tarot card reader, and I'm here to do your business reading, your weekly business reading for the 27th of September to the 3rd of October. So without further ado, let's get cracking. We start with Elephant Spirit, learn from the past. Now, Spirit just said to me, as clear as anything in my ear, this card is about learning from the past, not about dwelling on the past. Okay, somebody needed to hear that. It mattered. Right. Although we often wish we could leave the past behind, Elephant Spirit reminds us that memory matters. We must respect the wisdom of the elders who hand down to us traditions they have shaped to express our connection to each other and respect for the community. What has come before informs what we are experiencing today, and we must never forget our legacy of strength and dignity. Elephant Spirit appears with the message that we are to acknowledge that which came before and learn from it. All of us are memory-based creatures, and we must revisit the past to understand where we are and where we are going. The stories of events you experienced, the stories in our collective memory, and the stories of relationships you have had can be told many ways. What story will you tell? Elephant Spirit is here to encourage you to make it one that stirs in you a sense of power and dignity, for you have honoured yourself by choosing to learn from your past. Spirit rejoices at your willingness to learn and grow. Are you feeling uncomfortable with the tradition, custom, or familiar behaviour that no longer fits who you are? Do you wish the past could be erased so it could no longer cause you a moment's pain? Elephant Spirit is here to encourage you to write a different story and alter the traditions in ways that acknowledge that we all evolve, for transformation is our nature. Elephant Spirit calls you to not be selective in your memory, because ignoring the good or the bad will prevent you from growing your wisdom and strength. Build on the best of the past, learn from the worst, and walk into the future with dignity, accompanied by Elephant Spirit, who remembers the truth and honours your strength and wisdom. So, what story are you telling yourself that might relate to your business that is possibly in need of a rewrite? Learn from the past. Spirit again said that you can learn from the past, but do not dwell on the past. I think this rewriting of a story is important, because you can talk about failures, you can talk about mistakes in the very negative sense. Our mind is always listening to what we say to it. So if we're saying, I had a business failure, therefore I'm a failure, it's no good, I'm no good. If you turn that on its head and say, I made a mistake but I learned from it, and I will never ever do that thing again, then that becomes positive. Does that make sense? Instead of dwelling on the fact that you made a mistake and how terrible it is, you need to think to yourself, yes, but I learned something from it. I had a colossal business failure back in 2013, and I lost everything and I walked through hell. And it's only sort of down the line that I started to think about all the ways that I could have done things differently, and the things that I have learned from that experience, so that I know it will never ever happen to me again. So I kind of learned from the past, but I don't dwell on it, and I certainly don't look at it through negative eyes. I try to look at it through what benefits came out of it, because benefits did come out of it, even though it felt catastrophic at the time. And, you know, my heart was broken by some of the things that happened. It still feels like lessons were learned. And the outcome, in the end, I would not be where I am today without that happening. I would have carried on slogging away at the same business, making the same mistakes, doing the same silly things over and over, focusing on everybody else's needs instead of my own. You know, doing things that were detrimental to my business because I wanted to help people. There were a lot of things that went horribly wrong, that now, you know, my biggest lesson, I think, was to take care of my own self before I tried to take care of anybody else. Because if my table is empty, how can I feed anybody else? And that was a big lesson to learn. Think about it, Cancer. What has happened to you where you can turn your memory around and think about the positives that have come out of it. You know, I mean, on another note, getting divorced from my husband was very hard. It was awful. I felt rejected. I felt like my life had been a lie for 13 years. I brought these children into the world to a person that was not who he said he was. And it was devastating. But then now, you know, 18 years I've been with my soulmate. And I'm so glad that that relationship ended, because it brought me back. And he is my hero. I would never be without him. He is everything to me. But I had to go through that horrible past thing in order to be in a position to move forward into something new. So I hope I'm rambling on a bit about myself here now, but I kind of want you to put your memories and your past into that perspective and think about it from a positive standpoint. What positives can you take from it? Because there are always positives even to some of the most negative occurrences. What can you learn? What mistakes do you know now never to make? Where you need to focus your energy is on the shaman, divine wisdom and spiritual power. This is interesting because this talked about traditions and things that have been passed down to us by our ancestors. Maybe feeling a little bit uncomfortable with some of those traditions. It's time to go and search inside of yourself, I think, to work out what traditions and values are in line with who you are as a person now. Because we do very blindly follow things that we've been taught, don't we? We don't always question. And I'm gonna tell you a silly story now, but it just illuminates what I'm trying to say. There was a woman who used to make a pot roast every week. And every week she would cut the roast in half before putting it in the oven. And her husband said to her one day, "Darling, why is it that you cut the meat in half before you put it in the oven?" And she said, "I don't know, my mother did it. And so I do it." So he said, "Well, I'm going to ask your mum why you do this." So he says to mum next time they're over there, why do you both cut the meat in half before you put it in the oven?" And she said, "Oh, I don't know, my mother used to do it that way." So then he says, "Well, I don't really understand, but let's find out why." So he goes to Grandma. And he says to Grandma, "Why do you always cut the meat in half before you put it in the oven?" And she said, "Because my tin isn't big enough to fit it in." And I loved that story because the daughter and the granddaughter carried on doing this thing even though their tins were perfectly big enough to put the meat in. They thought it was some special trick to cooking the meat, but it meant nothing. It was nothing. It was just something that they'd done because everybody else in their family had done it first. Sometimes we have to give up on some of the traditions and the things that we do, that we've been taught to do, conditioned to do, that we just get along with. And in this day and age, I think it's vitally important that we understand why we do the things that we do and the effect that it has on other people. So really just check it out. Just think. Take some time. Do your traditions suit who you are as a person now? Or is there part of it that you can give up? But at the same time, is there value in what you're doing, in the traditions of your ancestors? Is there something that could continue that is of benefit to you and to the society around you? I feel like this is a very spiritual week for you, Cancer, honestly. I think there's a lot for you to think about. I think this elephant spirit actually has a very similar energy to the shaman there. Your strengths, the 7 of crystals, options and results. This is all about you putting in hard work, an investment for the future, long-term growth. This week is not about quick returns, Cancer. This is about slow and steady wins the race. That whatever you do this week, it's going to really provide a foundation for down the line. Now it could be, if you're like some of my clients, that you're working up for Christmas now. And, you know, you're putting in a lot of hard work creating things, products, services, whatever, to sell for Christmas. And you might feel like you're not really getting much result out of that right now, but come Christmas, my word, will you get the results. So this is about you having a good think about what you can do now to bring you those results in the future. Possible obstacles, the Queen of Acorns, passion and creativity. Okay. She is a nice card, but I get the feeling that, you know, in this position, it's a blockage. What is blocking your passion and creativity there, Cancer? Is it something to do with the past? Is it something to do with you worrying about your traditions? And oh, at the end there, we've got the Tower, release and revelation. Change is coming, Cancer. Change is coming. Don't fear the Tower. A lot of people fear the Tower. It's a catalyst for change. Change often means that better times are coming. This can be about destruction of one thing. And that destruction, that period of destruction, can feel very hard. But better things usually come out of it at the end. Like I was saying earlier about, you know, some things happen, catastrophic things happen. We have to learn from them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clarify some of these cards, because this is quite a deep and meaningful reading, to be honest. And I feel like we need to do a bit of digging. So we're being told the overall energy is to learn from the past. And I've got the Death card. Another one not to be feared. This again is about change, endings and letting go. I feel in this particular case, it's about letting go. You need to let go of the past. You need to learn from it, but let go. And allow a transformation to happen. We've got the Shaman next, which, as I say, is very similar energy to that Elephant card. Let's just pop them there so we can still see them. I feel like it's a similar energy to this Elephant spirit, in the way that it talked about traditions and continuing traditions and learning from the past, as in learning from ancestors or forefathers, people that have gone before us, the mistakes that they've made, the successes that they've made, how can we learn from them? And this is about you using your divine wisdom to decide whether you want to continue with traditions or whether they don't meet your values anymore. And to clarify that, I've got the Six of Cups. And this is about cooperation, working well with other people, childhood memories actually, and I feel like that might be honestly where this card is going. I think this is about your childhood memories, about the things that you've done throughout your childhood that maybe you've not been doing for a while. I get the feeling that you may have been raised a certain way and you've lapsed, and it could be time for you to pick up what it is that you were doing and maybe teaching it to somebody else. I then got the Judgment card there, which is about awakening, renewal and enlightenment. It's about you weighing things up actually and deciding what is for you and what isn't. It can be about asking deep questions of yourself. I would suggest, Cancer, this week that you take time out for a retreat. A retreat that you do by yourself, where you look deeply at who you are and where you've come from and your past. And can you use it in some way to further your business? Now, it could be that you've been wounded in a way that means that you have experience of healing other people. It could be that you have traditions that you feel need to be shared, and that suddenly your soul is saying to you, you need to share these traditions. But I do feel that if you take some time to ask yourself some questions, to look back at your childhood, to go back into the past and see where you are and where you've come. And I don't know, there's it's quite deep, this, Cancer, it really is. I wish I could kind of help you with this assessment. I feel like there's a new purpose that's going to come out of all this introspection. I'm almost expecting to see the Hanged Man next, because I feel like you need to be seeing things from a different perspective. I feel like you need to to just figure out where you're going with this. Now, the final card to clarify that, I've got the Ace of Pentacles, which is manifesting a new financial opportunity and prosperity. I feel like this inner work will lead to your prosperity there, Cancer. But you're going to need to do some delving. I feel like you need to do some delving into the past, into something that you either need to let go of or learn from. Now I've got the Seven of Crystals, which is about options and results. It's about you putting in hard work for long-term growth and planning. And I said before, this could be about you planning for Christmas holidays, planning for next year even. And then I've got the Devil card, which seems a bit strange, but you know, he's about materialism, ambition, self-empowerment. The message here is don't get too crazy. Don't become too focused on money, because Spirit is telling me that is what is blocking your passion and creativity. That you have a tendency to think about the things from the financial perspective. Living in a house full of creative people, which I do, I know that there's this fine balance between doing things that are creative, that fulfill the passions, and having to live. Sometimes it can be a very delicate balance, because you can ask for too much money or commit to doing too much. I just got a message there about pre-orders. In your business, if you're now taking pre-orders for Christmas, be careful that you don't take too many on and make a mess of it. Don't overstretch yourself. Because you want the money, you could be in danger of just doing too many things and offering too many things, and then having to work like a dog to get the things out. And then what happens is you end up not pleasing people, because deliveries are late, they don't get what they want, mistakes are made. And I feel like this also is linked to this passion and creativity there. There could be a problem if you overstretch. So that's just a warning from Spirit there. That's not a definitive outcome. That is just be careful. Be careful that in your planning of your long-term growth that you don't overstretch. The amount of clients that I have, you know, that will say, I want to make an extra X amount by whenever. And then they'll go, well, I'll sell a service that I have, and I'm going to sell X amount of money's worth of this service. And then you go, well, how many weeks have you got to do that in? And they'll go, oh, well, you know, 12 weeks or whatever. And then you'll go, well, does this work out? Because how are you going to fit in 20,000 clients in 12 weeks? It's not physically possible. But a lot of people don't look at that. They forget. They look at the amount of money they want and they go, right, this is how I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it by creating this product or service. And they don't realise they need to make thousands of them to make the money that they want. So that's a funny old card there. But, you know. And then I got the Seven of Swords, which is about taking what is helpful and leaving the rest behind. Being resourceful. Evaluating what your plan is. Alright? And that is just in line with what I've just been saying to you. Evaluate. Make sure that you're not being overtaken by the amount of money that you want, that you end up having to leave stuff behind or causing a problem because of it. Alright? Make sure that your strategy is right as you move forward. So then we've got this block with the Queen of Acorns there. And I feel it's the passion and creativity that is being blocked, and I'm not entirely sure why. Why is this happening? Why is this passion and creativity being blocked, Spirit? What is going on? Is it because of something that's happened in the past? Is it because the money is getting in the way, that there's more emphasis on chasing money than there is in actually enjoying the journey and creating? We've got the Hierophant there. He is the same as the Shaman. It's the same card, essentially. So it's being repeated. that you need to look towards your traditions, your principles, your values. Teach what you value. Impart your knowledge on what you value. And if your values are your passion and creativity, then that's what you need to focus on, because it could be that your values aren't really the money. Weigh that one up. I feel like you need to weigh that one up. And then I've got 3 cards that came out there. I've got the 4 of Wands for the Tower, and this is all about prosperity and achievement, coming home after a period of exploration. Now it could be that you've been travelling and you've come back and you're back in your community. It's definitely a change that says it's about prosperity. I've got the Knight of Wands. He's good. He's all about action and drive, this guy. He is about moving forward quite quickly. And then we end with the Wheel of Fortune. So we've got this Tower moment that, whilst you're in the throes of it, might feel scary. It could feel scary. But it's going to lead to comfort and prosperity. It's going to lead to you moving forwards very quickly. And it's going to lead to a new start. The Wheel of Fortune there. Your luck is changing. Your goals are going to be achieved. It's going to lead to your fulfillment. But I feel like you need to be planning for the long-term growth in the future. But make sure that it aligns with your values. Don't let it block your passion and creativity in your plan. Make sure it's all included. Okay? Because if you just go for the money, you're going to feel really depleted at the end of it. That's not going to be in line with your values. Wow, Cancer, how deep was this? I hope you enjoyed this as much as I've enjoyed doing it for you. It's a great reading, actually. It's very complex, but the messages are really clear, I think. You know, what you need to do. Plan for that long-term growth. Learn from the past, but don't dwell on it. Make sure whatever you do is in line with your values, and don't block your passion and creativity, because it will be blocked if you aren't in alignment with what you want. The Tower moment is there at the end, which means change is coming, but it's a change to better things, to your comfort and prosperity. You're going to move fast towards the fulfillment of your dreams in the end. And I feel like this is all linked in with Christmas. I feel like it's linked in with the end of the year, with plans for the next few months. So even though it's a weekly reading, I feel like the energies of this may last for a little while for you, Cancer. So I'm going to leave that there. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do like, share and subscribe if you enjoyed this message. It's totally free for you. I appreciate every single person that interacts with this channel. When you like, when you subscribe, seriously, I run around the house, you know, sort of screaming and going, yeah, I got somebody else. Somebody else has enjoyed my stuff. So please do like and subscribe. Maybe one day I'll make a video of what I do when I see somebody subscribed or liked something. And I'm going to leave it there. With love and magic always. Have a great week, Cancer, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye for now.